Utla fella kili choose. Nabongani bo I choose. Getting the money I choose. Honeys I love my juice. Now we run low key. Niggas hating on me. I'll be fucking up the scene. Doing this for the weed. Now God damn it. My niggas I'm blessed. Now God damn it. You niggas can't test. Now God damn it. My niggas are blessed. Now God damn it. You niggas can't test.
Hoping you getting the message. I pull up and then it's a mess. I like it, I love attention. I'm doing this shit with the passion. I'm mini money mode. The money be calling my ceiling. I'm taking it up to the ceiling. And then I be going for more. I'm in a league of my own. I'm in the zone. I got my own vibe. Doing the best, becoming the best. I never rest. I'm down on my knees. I'm talking to Jesus. Cause I'm a believer. I'm sealing the deal. I'm making the meal. And nigga don't give up. Spitting a verse in the club. I take it to church. And niggas say amen. I'm changing the rules. I'm making the moves. My niggas are on air. I step in the room. I'm setting the mood. Cause I got the juice. I step in the room. I'm setting the mood. Cause I got the juice. Haven't made it, but damn we up. Look at the shit that we doing, nigga. Pulling up on my crew, nigga. Steady chasing, stack it up. Look at the shit that we doing, nigga. Pulling up with the new era. Haven't made it, but damn we up. Look at the shit that we doing, nigga. Pulling up on my crew, nigga. Steady chasing, stack it up. Look at the shit that we doing, nigga. Pulling up with the new era.
No more hating cause the money's alive. All of my niggas are coming alive. Uber cause I don't wanna drive. Get this money cause I wanna get high. Didn't think we gon' make it. Get too late cause we made it. Now your niggas wanna break it. Too late G, we don't fake it. Now we rolling with the G. Stacking the paper, the cheese. Merry with the weed. Everybody wanna see how a nigga gon' make it. Never mind cause I'm faded. Never mind cause I'm faded. Hating the fact that I made it. God damn it. My niggas I'm blessed. Now God damn it, you niggas can't test. Now God damn it, my niggas are blessed. Now God damn it, you niggas can't test, you can't test. You feel like you be choose. Now bongani go I choose. Getting the money I choose. Honeys are loving my juice. Now we riding low key. Niggas hating on me. I'll be fucking up the scene. Doing this for the weed.
Haven't made it, but then we up. Look at the shit that we doing, nigga. Pulling up on my crew, nigga. Steady chasing, stack it up. Look at the shit that we doing, nigga. Pulling up with the new hit.
All right. Thanks, guys. Wow. Wow. That's Rap Tips and Spliff. Blessed. Wow, we're blessed. That's how we start the show. We're blessed. Bonjour. Welcome to Vanishing Cultures, the show that dares to explore our ever-changing African cultures in today's modern society. Mtshali.
And I'm Charmaine, Tebogo. Thank you for joining us once again. We welcome you to yet another exciting topic.
Yeah, talking about exciting topics. Last week we had a crazy topic, man. Oh, polyandry. Polyandry, a lot of us didn't know exactly, what's going on. Polyandry, for those who still don't know, is when a wife decides to take on multiple husbands. Whoa, I know. People thought it's not happening. Trust me, I was shocked myself. I didn't even know the word. But now, Charmaine, apparently it's not a secret.
Yeah, it's not a secret. Women have been doing it out there, doing their thing. I mean, look at countries like Nigeria, you look at countries like India, you look at China, you look at South America even is doing it. So actually, women are actually quite rocking out there.
Well, hold on. You said something last week which was offside. You said, what do they call this?
Yeah.
The husbands?
Right here on the African continent in Nigeria. So the husbands are called co-husbands, believe it or not.
So not only are we co-parenting, now we're co-husbanding.
Absolutely.
And you thought it wasn't happening. It's happening. It is happening in South Africa. Okay, it was something that was happening under carpet, but it's out there now. People know it's happening. Last week we had spoken to a family, which showed us exactly what was happening when the woman was asking to have her own husband while married to the other husband. How exciting is
Crazy
that?
times, but absolutely appreciated. I mean, the point of Vanishing Cultures is for us to bring these issues under the spotlight, and we definitely appreciate your input. Please give us your insights and views about these topics.
Exactly. And Lisa, about the live streaming that we are still sorting out, because we're supposed to be talking to you guys, having you guys goodness our views. Last week we had a problem with load shedding. It's happening everywhere, guys. Please, ningas blame. Now to sabukela bekhaya iveli hambe.
Absolutely, but don't let it stop you. Today we take on another exciting topic. So we continue on. Best foot forward. We are taking on the topic. Wait for it.
Is it vulgar? Is it vulgar to be to be a gay man in Africa or in African society?
Absolutely. That's our topic. Is it vulgar to be a gay man in African culture?
Exactly. Let's go sizwe ukuthi abantu bathini emgwaqeni, and then we'll come back and meet our guests. Let's go.
Mankind has with womankind, it is abomination. The eyes of the Lord are at every place.
Wow. All right. I'm going to start with Roche Kester, who is was joined out LGBTI well-being as a hate crime manager for the Love Not Hate program back in 2019. She's responsible for assisting hate victims with any challenges they may experience, and she oversees the overall project. Within her role, she sits on various task teams, provincially and nationally. Now, to ensure that the hate crimes are monitored with the aim of justice for the victims. Ukonala Roche.
Thank you. Obviously, she's not alone. She's with our lovely guest, Tebogo, Nathane. Thank you for coming. Sir.
Thank you so much for coming.
We really appreciate it. Now, I hear that you come from a family of 3 boys. Eldest son of 3 boys, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And went to big ups representing Naledi, Soweto Kasi.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. How?
And also went to UNISA, did a travel diploma.
Wow.
And also matriculated in Forest. Big up to Forest as well.
Yeah. Tell us more about yourself, Debza.
As Charlotte has said, thanks for having me, guys. And I'm so glad that you guys invited me here. I'm Tebogo Nathane from Naledi, Ekas, Soweto.
Yes.
Yes. I'm the eldest son in the family of 3 boys and the shortest one. Well, I grew up in a Christian family from the African Methodist Episcopal Church. So I used to actually serve there as also a youth leader there, as a youth president in the YPD, which is the Young People's Division organization in the church. And then did travel and tourism and employed with, I'm employed.
Those ones. You're right there. You're right there.
Right there. Yeah. Very easygoing person, and and I'm here in Kempton Park, and then.
Mark Jones, don't tell them everything.
No, I cannot just give them my address. Do that.
Yeah. So to find out, we understand that it's not easy for gay men to just come out. Apparently, I don't know now. Recently, it's been much easier. So we just wanted to find out.
To be honest with you, Siphiwe, and it was not even easy when I came out as an individual, because when I came out in my family, my younger brother attempted suicide. Wow. So we had to actually have a family meeting to talk about our relationships and things like that. So that's when it was my platform to actually tell my parents to say, hey, guys, this happened, because they were expecting to find a girl, Charmaine, and and I was raised by my grandmother, and she used to actually see people coming in and around, and these old women, they are quite clever. So she was quite smart.
She sort of picked up.
Yeah, she picked up. There's a guy that comes in now and then, So I was actually scared, thinking that they're gonna disown me or things like that. So I literally came out.
Absolutely.
And I was one of those lucky ones whereby they actually gave me support. From both families, my maternal and my paternal side. I was amongst those ones that were lucky to be accepted as a gay man.
Very rare, beautiful story, however. Yeah. And then tell us, when did you first realize that actually you have an alternative sexual preference, should we say?
I think it was in higher primary. Back in the days, you went to primary and then higher primary, and then where you start doing your standard 3 to 5.
Yes, I remember.
So I don't know, it's great.
Yes.
Whatever.
You know,
I don't want to reveal my age because it's going there.
You're not alone.
grades.
It still confuses me.
So it still confuses me. But when I started that year at the higher primary level, that's when I discovered that, hey, there's something, wrong with me.
No, there was something right.
Something right. Okay.
No,
In inverted commas,
Something
wrong.
wrong. Yeah.
Just
That's
in the society, just something wrong. But I was confused and at that time, but I took it one step at a time, and then you do things privately for people not to see, kuba no Siphiwe lapha, there and there. Yes. So until my standard 8, where I had started, meeting people at high school, understanding a little bit of that, going out to parties and things like that. But at that time you had to keep quiet.
Yes.
Not something that you can just post on Facebook like now that here am I at my Actually, but it was one of those things that when I look back, it was exciting. It was exciting for me to understand. It's easy right now, with a younger generation coming now. So yeah.
Wow. No, that's why I wanted to find out, especially because I think it's always difficult. That's why I was saying, is it vulgar for African men to be gay? Because there's always been that notion that when you are gay, there's something wrong with you. They want to try and fix you, or you're disrespecting culture.
People have got different views about it because there's Christianity and there's culture as well. Do you understand? You are expected as a man to follow a certain culture as the eldest one in the family. When there's family funerals, there's rituals that they expect you as a man to do. But that's where other people would actually say that you're not allowed to do this because you are not married, you are not man enough. You understand?
So, just to interject, I heard you say in the context of Christianity. So I just want you to highlight this thing. So as a Christian going to church, and obviously there are all these expectations of you having the orthodox way and having a spouse and getting married with 5 kids and a picket fence, or in this case, holding your spear, whatever the case might be. So how was that experience for you?
Well, for me, because at that time, because I had to hide myself, it was very easy. It's only now whereby I actually came out to people that I actually grew up with in working at church, with those church activities. So it's only now that I came out to them to say, hey, guys, but other people, they can actually be able to see that. And they just keep quiet about it,
Wow.
So the church actually received you well, is that what you're saying?
Well, where I grew up, yes, they received me very well because we differ, because I was not this flamboyant gay man that would come with feathers, in church. I had to actually look, represent myself.
Right.
You wear a suit when you go to church for a church service, and then you represent. I don't go there with
the typical stereotype. And that's what our show is all about, actually. Bring those stereotypes under the spotlight and actually dissecting what they mean and understanding a different or alternative insight that we otherwise don't always every day think about.
That's true, and that's why we'll try to understand exactly why some people want to push that it's not African, and we're going to go deep into it, and also sikhulume singene nako Roche. But for now, let's take a quick break, and we're coming back for more. And remember, we know it's okay, fine. Facebook is giving us a bit of problems now, but please talk about this so that we know what you're feeling and what your questions are on this topic. So let's do that. Let's go to a break. We'll be back after this.
Feel the heat. Feel the excitement. Feel the heat with StarSat.
The coronavirus outbreak.
Experience the extraordinary.
Tremendous waste and tremendous fraud. Mexico is, in fact, you will soon find out.
It is a day to celebrate.
We don't approve at all what's going on.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily unusual.
Challenge your ordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality here has had no plan.
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat. Feel the heat.
You said you love me. I do.
You sure?
Yeah.
Please bounce line you go.
Oh no, you don't! Get out of my way! Get out!
That is an abomination.
Oh, the love you promised me.
Do you have a boyfriend? Yeah?
Feel the excitement.
You don't know how I've been longing for this.
Feel the heat with StarSat.
Violence and sexual abuse against children has become a major social challenge during the COVID-19 lockdown. We appeal to adults, parents and caregivers to be kind towards children during this lockdown and beyond. Give children the space they need to engage with their reading and learning activities. Do not hit them. Do not yell at them. They are equally frustrated. We urge you to listen, support and help the children to survive the COVID-19 lockdown. Report immediately any incident of sexual abuse. The Department of Basic Education. Every child is a national asset.
Feel the heat.
I love Adam Selman.
The girls are really thin. I think it looks very glamorous from the outside.
The life of a model in New York City.
There is such cool prints. So many.
You know, I'm buying this.
Look at me and all the selfie sort of thing. Honestly, I didn't really know that was actually a job. It just didn't occur to me.
Congratulations.
Feel the excitement. Feel the heat with StarSat. Feel the heat.
Chicken portions are an easy way to feed a crowd.
I've just started to incorporate all my ingredients.
We're gonna put this inside of a hot cast iron skillet.
You want to really fill up on great protein.
It's now time to sample the chef's dish. Look at this.
I know.
Like that?
Feel the excitement.
The chicken is on the spot.
Feel the heat with StarSat. Feel the heat. Feel the excitement. Feel the heat.
Welcome back, Ongatitegi. We're still watching Vanishing Cultures. So besila every Thursday from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock sisonke. And so it's Kulumanan. But Manji, this is a fact for the day. South Africa's post-apartheid constitution was the first in the world to outlaw discrimination based on sexual orientation. And South Africa was the first country in the world to legalize same-sex marriages. South Africa is, to date, the only country in Africa to have legalized same-sex marriages. Same-sex couples can also adopt children jointly and also arrange IVF, surrogacy, treatments, and LGBT people can enjoy constitutional and statutory protections from discrimination in employment, the provision of goods and services, and many other areas. Nevertheless, LGBT South Africa particularly has those problems outside major cities like Le Makaya, where they're still asking things like, why Lindo Taiso, you know, what happened to a man being a man? And sometimes one of my challenges when it comes to homophobia, violence, particularly in terms of corrective rape, and HIV, AIDS, infections come from homosexuals. That's the problems that we still have to deal with in this country. So we'll come back to the show. I want to go straight to you to say, you know, most of our African people, I would say, the ones that are opposing men that are gay, they have a tendency of being volatile, you know, and get physical. Have you ever had to go through any of that?
I haven't, but I know of a lot of people that have gone through that. And with gay men, there's been a lot of them that have actually passed on, that have, you know, but I haven't actually experienced that because I don't know, maybe it's because of the circles that I go to, because I always become cautious, because I do know, and I've always had stories of lesbian women that get killed now and then. You know, in my township where I grew up in Naledi, there was a case sometime last year. I cannot remember the name of that woman that got killed. You know, it's a lot of lesbian girls that get killed. So personally, I haven't actually experienced that. So yes, you do get people from time to time, you know, they'll, you know.
Yeah. So I'm sure Roche, excuse me, probably you have some experience in this department as well. If you could just bring us to light as to what kind of issues you see and are dealt with on an everyday basis.
Yeah, so as you've said, I'm from an organization called Out LGBTI Wellbeing, and I've got a horrendous title. I'm the hate crime manager. You know, people are always like, "Are you managing the hate crime?"
I was about to understand that.
That's what she did.
But unfortunately, the position is needed in South Africa. I mean, I get calls on a daily basis from LGBTI individuals from all over South Africa who face overt discrimination and then also measures of hate. Wow. You know, and so I think there's a large underestimation of what is actually happening in the South African climate. And I think one of the reasons that the underreporting happens in terms of hate crimes is because even when reporting to the police, we have this thing what we call secondary victimization. And so now obviously in the South African context we also have a high rate of gender-based violence. Women experience the same thing with secondary victimization. So say for instance a lesbian couple who maybe has a domestic dispute goes to the police. The police will ask them, but who's the man, who's the woman? You know, or even if you are raped as a woman in general in South Africa and then you are lesbian, you know, they'll ask you, why are you dressing this way, where were you, what time, etc. So I think that's also the labor that LGBTI people face when having to even report the crime. They already feel vulnerable when they've been violated, and then further, then they have to go to the police service, a institution that's supposed to protect them, but in actual fact fails us many times. And I know Tebogo was saying he doesn't know of the crimes that happens, but I can tell you that it's expansive of what happens to people. I mean, not just verbal discrimination, but physical assault, rape, theft, damage to property, harassment, you know, and then we get to things like death. And the thing with hate crimes in South Africa is that the frequency at which it happens way more than people think. From the period last year, December, to just measuring to March, just before the lockdown, there were 7 cases provincially of people that were murdered that identifies LGBTI in the country. And the sad thing about that is that you don't see these faces on national news. You don't hear the president talking about it, you know. Only within civil society and some government departments do we work to bring justice to these victims. But seldomly is the wider public actually made aware of how harsh these crimes are against LGBTI people.
So which brings me to my next question. How successful are you in actually helping, obviously, these crimes to be brought to book? You know, how successful is your system? Do you find that there's reluctance when you approach, obviously, there's people like the South African Police Services to help out?
Yeah, so what has happened was that in 2016 there was a nationwide study done actually in terms of the frequency of hate crimes, the kind of hate crimes, who's affected by it in terms of age and then also demographic and geographical space. And this report was then used to serve to the government to say, hey, listen, this is what is actually happening in the country, you know. Here's the evidence, we've done the research, we've done the interviews. And so that report actually served as a template to say we need an actionable plan. And from that there was a few structures that came from this report. So we have what we call the National Task Team in the country, which is specifically focused on LGBTI issues. And this is a combination of civil society organizations such as the one that I work for, but then also the National Prosecuting Authority, the South African Police Services, and then also various government departments, right? And this is kind of the overarching bigger board, and their whole mandate is actually to not just monitor hate crimes, to see, you know, what happens in terms of justice, but then also to look at preventative measures and then also reactionary measures in terms of hate crimes. So from the National Task Team, there's also another entity called the Rapid Response Team. And we meet as a kind of a rapid emergency response to hate crimes. So we meet, and it's basically the same kind of entities that are involved, the police services, National Prosecuting Authority. So we have a template of these hate crimes, and every month we'll come together and say, listen, how far is that? Colonel, did you check up on that case? Why is this not going through? What's happening with the toxicology reports, right? And of course, there's a lot of factors in South Africa in general that delay cases. I mean, COVID-19 has just kind of also, you know, ensure that a lot of these entities haven't been functioning the way that they should be. But nonetheless, we are trying to still keep abreast of that, you know. But it's also that kind of thing, we don't just want to be reactive to hate crimes. You can't just say someone has been affected by this and now we're looking at what needs to be done in relation to that, in how we respond to it, but also how we prevent it.
That's where I was going with this, because I understand that you could try and act on it afterwards. I think that it's happening a lot in a sense there. You know, Tebogo, sometimes you just go to a normal party and you are just being you. And people don't know that Tebogo is a gay man, and the ones who do know maybe have a problem with the fact that you're chatting with so many girls, and when they find out, they want to fight. You know those fights that start stupidly. I mean, how do we try and minimize those type of fights? Because I don't think that in this day and age you are able to tell that these type of people will start a fight with you. You know, for instance, is there any I understand you guys have this rapid response, but how do we prevent it from happening?
So I mean, there's a lot of, when I said preventative responses, this is kind of what I've been talking about. So I mean, as part of the task team, we've also done national trainings, for instance, with people that are in service-orientated positions, the police, you know, medical professionals, people that assist people with on rape line and etc. But I think there's also this movement from civil society to push awareness campaigns in communities specifically. So we're talking about community engagement, engaging your traditional leaders, engaging your religious leaders, getting their buy-in so that they also say to the wider community, listen, these people, there's nothing wrong with them.
And I love that, because you mentioned something very important, is engaging your traditional leaders, engaging your churches, you know, because that kind of rehabilitates now the person, and the misconceptions and the myths that arise from the different societies that we have. Strongly as well, one of the misconceptions that come through is that obviously the LGBTQ plus A++, society is perceived as a group, as a organization that kind of encourages promiscuity. What are your feelings about
What are your feelings on that?
Well, we get that every day, and it doesn't happen. We know people are still negative. They still have this negative, mind about this whole thing of you being a gay man. They think that you just want to have multiple sexual partners, and you just want to have sex with different men every day. We get that every day, and which is not true. That is, I'm sorry, it's bull. That's it. It's not true. And saying that, okay, you are with Siphiwe, because they always assume that when you are with Charmaine today, you are going to actually end up having sex with Charmaine. And when you want with this person, you want to change this person to become a gay man. It doesn't work that way. You have friends that are gay people who understand the gay society. You spend time with them, but that does not make you gay.
True.
You understand?
It's true.
So you to accept that I'm a gay man and then we hang around together every weekend. It doesn't mean that you are gay. And then it doesn't mean that last week I was with Siphiwe, the other week I was with Benny. It does not mean that I'm having sex with multiple people. It's just nonsense.
Yeah, I think from my perspective as well, I mean, we're talking about gay men specifically, but even from like, I'm a queer woman, for instance, so I don't identify just as lesbian or bisexual. I'm what they would say pansexual, right? Any flavor. But let me tell you,
flavor will work for you.
I love that. I like that.
Let me tell you right now that I'm having no sex whatsoever. So obviously there's a glitch in the system that is not working for me. But I also wanted to add to the thing that when we talk about the LGBTI community, people think gay and lesbian. There's this fixation on what the sex looks like, how they have sex, how they interact. But people forget that your orientation, your sexual orientation isn't just about physical attraction. It's about being attracted to someone emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. It's not just, okay, that one looks nice and they'll stand a chance. I mean, it's not. I mean, this is also the other thing, the misconception from heterosexuals is that all of you guys are desirable. Hi-ho. Not all of you are desirable. We don't want all of you. You know what I mean? Just so I think that's one of the things that we have to be wary about. There's not a misconfiguration in the way that Tebogo is attracted to someone. He has standards by himself.
Exactly.
He's also wary about his sexual health, I'm assuming. He also knows that he's going to disclose things to his partner. Actually, LGBTI relationships create greater conversation around sexual health, if anything else, because we also a key population. So this means there's actually a very direct focus on how we have sex and what health in terms of sex means for us.
And we forget that people are people at the end of the day. Just because somebody is gay or lesbian, does that mean that that's all you see? We always say that when you see a woman, you don't just see umfazi. When you see a man, you don't just see indod. We're coming back with some more after the break.
Feel the heat. Feel the excitement. Feel the heat with Starsat. Feel the heat.
All right. To make it through this journey alive, you're gonna need someone to teach you the ninja way.
Don't just stand there, kill someone!
Feel the excitement. Feel the heat with Starsat. Feel the heat. Feel the excitement. Feel the heat with Starsat.
The coronavirus outbreak.
Experience the extraordinary.
Tremendous waste and tremendous fraud. Mexico is, in fact, you will soon find out.
It is a day to celebrate.
We don't approve at all what's going on.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily unusual.
Challenge your ordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality has had no plan.
Experience the extraordinary with Starsat. Feel the heat.
You said you love me. I do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Leave Miles Vanny go.
Oh no, you don't! Get out of my way! Get out!
That is an abomination.
Oh, the love you promised me.
Do you have a boyfriend? Yeah?
Feel the excitement.
You don't know how I've been longing for this.
Feel the heat with Starsat.
Saying, are you really gay? Like asking a gay person if.
How do you know? Betty, how can you be sure?
Exactly.
And then you tell them.
That is like you are questioning my state of mind if I am sure of what I am. Because you don't come to a straight person and say, are you sure that you are really straight?
Imagine.
Unless they suspect you that you are gay.
Wait, that's the question though. I mean, I feel like if a straight person asks you that question, but how do you know? When I ask them, how do you know that you're straight? How do you know?
How I feel to be a gay living in Soweto, I could say it's nice and it's bad. In a nicer way, now, as we've got our rights, you can go wherever. Before, you were not going to go in the street, especially when I was turning 21. I remember there were guys who were saying they're going to beat me with all my friends. That's what we are doing, especially from my family, because we come from a Zulu family.
It's not a problem to me. I don't have a problem at all.
Welcome back to Vanishing Cultures. We're talking everything culture here, guys. Yazi futhi ngiqolisa but ngiyanthembisa ukuthi next week sobe sikhuluma kahle sonke indaba lo shedding sobe sesisorte out kancane ngisobe sesazi.
Absolutely, and we do value your insights, so please don't be discouraged. Please talk to us, tell us what you're thinking, tell us those burning issues that you want to talk about.
Yeah, certainly with our two favorite guests here, Roche and Tebogo. Guys, okay. I wanna get to this question which I've been wanting to ask, and I want to go with.
Yes.
There's these negative connotations which you guys sort of touched on earlier on about being lesbian and gay, which people think you just want to have sex with. And I like what she said when she said heterosexuals always think that we're a 10. So we're not a 10.
So you wouldn't go for us.
Because you're right. Guys always say when they see a gay guy, lo young fool.
Yeah.
Like they always think everybody wants them. But now, how do you deal with that stereotype? And how do you teach that stereotype? That, look, we see without all of us having to, we always have to argue. How do you just do it subtly, to let them know that I'm this, I'm not that, but I'm not that?
It's a difficult thing, but I think it comes down to respectability about sex politics in general. You know, seldomly in South Africa we're using language. We're starting now to unpack things like the language of consent, what that means. You know, we're starting to look at things like rape culture. And I mean, it was perceived that the LGBTI community, gay and lesbians, when they see someone, that's immediately you become a target. But that's not true. I think there is a measure of respectability from the LGBTI community to say, like, you are not necessarily our demographic even sometimes.
Absolutely.
You know? And I think the other thing is also that it's not contagious, because that's what other people think, right? And I think a lot of the perception of heterosexual cisgendered males think that if I'm even associated with a gay male, that somehow this gayness is going to rub off on me. And it's also like this perception that that gayness is wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That there's something wrong with being gay. So I think it's definitely about having these conversations more openly and speaking about, you know, dismantling gender roles, just dismantling traditional male roles and female roles, you know, speaking about gender in terms of it not being just binary, male and woman, but acknowledging that we've got trans people in our society, we've got non-binary people. And I always say this, that if we look at South Africa, in terms of just the diversity in this room, you know, culture, language, you know, skin tone, nose, everything. You know, but if we think about that kind of diversity, what makes us think that in terms of sexual orientation and gender identity, that there's not that kind of diversity? Who said there's only two specific ways of being? Who said that that is the only way that you can express your sexuality or your gender? So these are the kind of things that definitely need to be unpacked.
But we don't get to have, you know, seminars, you know, or talk shows like this whereby you could involve traditional, you know, leaders as well to actually be part of this, because these people that needs to be educated about such things are the people about
So you say you actually love us to invite some traditional
yes.
I think I like. Is that, are you saying you're short? Is it a challenge for us to bring?
Yes, there's a challenge. We need to actually bring these guys that are above Mtshali, you know, Etembiza.
Tebogo. Exactly. You can't be
because that's where the problem is. It starts from. You need to educate, and it has to start from, you know, from grassroots level, from there to understand.
And expanding further, sorry, on that again, is that another thing that you often probably dealt with is the question or the imposition, that HIV and AIDS, as it relates to being gay, usually it's attributed to this whole being gay, and if you're gay you must definitely be HIV positive, and how does that kind of like spin off on you guys?
Well, it's part of harassment, because you get that every time to say that, you know, that's why we're going back to what you spoke about, that when you look at a gay man you're thinking that they're going to have sex, to understand. And you know, you said something very, very a valid point here. You say that we talk about such things, you know, sexual health, you know, and all these other things that you know, to protect ourselves on what you need to do. Do you understand? When you go out here, go through to the Kempton Park CBD or any Joburg CBD or Jamestown CBD, in the billboards there you find penis enlargement and abortion pills. Yes. You understand? Yes. And who's doing that?
Absolutely.
It's heterosexual people. So I don't want to actually point this out. Do you understand that? Why do they actually, you know, sell these things, you know, taboo things, to say that there's penis enlargement and next to that, abortion pills. Do you understand? What are they promoting? Do you understand? True. And now we've got forums as well that's meant for health, yes, health for men. Do you understand? Whereby they educate people on how to actually use protect. And it's gay people that gets, you know, to be educated. They run that organization that, you know.
So are you saying that as Africans we're not having the right kind of conversations?
We don't have seminars or forums to actually, you know, because the guys that are actually doing all, you know, that needs to be educated, they're sitting right there in the corner, drinking Black Label. Yes.
You know? Also get about Black Label.
That's right.
No, so basically, because you know with what you're saying, I know the stereotype that is still happening. I mean, even now when you find that, especially. You know, just that today we're specifically dealing with gays, but I just want to say that also with lesbians, they always say, they'll say, what type of girl does this? And they would pressure you to say they want children, especially our Koko and our uncles. How do you deal with that situation when they start asking you questions like, okay, fine, let's say they say, yes, we accept that you are this person. How are we going to get kids? You know, they always say that.
That's a tough one, because you get that all the time. When you go to these functions at home, they'll be like, Ushatani. You know, it's one of those, it's quite tough because elderly people, they don't actually get to know about these things. And they take time. So you just say to them, hey, next time when you come back, you understand, because it's difficult for it's been a challenge, you know, personally, for me to actually say to them, you know, Koko, you know, chill.
It's not gonna happen.
So it's been a challenge to a whole lot of people, and they actually have this thing of starting to compare. Yes. Do you understand? They compare you with someone else. I'm sorry to mention, but they'll always say go high. So mizuna lwana, you know. So it's you get that all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and your mindset is not there. But it does not stop you if you are ready. If you want to adopt, you can actually sit with your partner and adopt. And then if you want to actually have, it does not stop you. But when the time is right, do you understand? I can actually do.
And I think the challenge also becomes that traditionally, as Africans, adoption as well is
that's another
not
problem.
the traditional way.
That's another issue.
That's another issue.
Amasiko walo mntwana uzowazi, what's going on when this child gets sick. How difficult is it for you when it comes to your parents forcing you to have children? And
I mean, I think as a woman in general, you know, when you are in South Africa, your mother's dreaming of your grandchildren from the time that you are born, right? But I also wanted to speak on, you know, how the family dynamics are shifting and changing, and how we also need to get with these times, you know, to say that this heteronormative way of families, of having the two partners in a white picket fence, is not necessarily the only way to be a family, you know. And also, I think there are a lot of heterosexual people that don't have children, who can't have children, you know. And so I think there's also definitely a culture of shaming in general in terms of not being able to you know, have offspring. And I think that's where the conversation needs to shift first. And you know, it's a lot to do with, as I say, sex politics in general in this country. When we talk about things like fertility, we have to take into account that people are also constantly fixated on someone else's body. You know, what about your body autonomy?
So thank you for saying that.
Yeah, you were speaking about the abortion pills.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm not for illegal abortions, but I mean, abortion services are needed in South Africa. It speaks to the bodily autonomy of women in our country. It speaks to what sexual and reproductive health rights mean. And so even though there's societal pressure, I mean, there comes a point where we have to be individuals and be proud of the kind of people that we are, and not necessarily succumb or feel less than because we don't fit into the construction of what other people want us to be.
So would you also then say that it's a self-actualization thing, that when you're actually aware of who you are and you're comfortable with who you are, you won't necessarily then impose your traditions and your expectations and norms on the next person?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you ask most LGBTI people, do you if you could, would you choose to be gay? I promise you, most of them would tell you no, because it's a lot of suffering. From the time that you realize and come into your own, you have to come out multiple times in various situations. You know, you're faced with so much overt discrimination. Your life is in danger because of traditional gender roles. If you are a masculine presenting female, somehow to men you become a threat. If you are a feminine presenting man, somehow you are a threat. If you step out of those binaries, you become a threat to society. You threaten this family construction. But we also need to realize that it's a difficult thing for people to continuously self-actualize themselves and stand in their power and educate people around them and look for allies to also assist in the conversation in the wider society.
Talking about that, actually, you know, when you say that, especially as we're talking about women, with what's happening now with the whole Caster Semenya thing, or do they want to now to put something in her body just to slow her down? So I'm getting, when you say that, I'm thinking about, by the way, I'm for Caster Semenya. I think she shouldn't put anything on her body. She's allowed to be as strong as she wants to be.
Yeah.
Would you then, if you say that it is so difficult because you're constantly having to explain yourself, if there was a pill that you could take to not be gay, do you ever get so frustrated in your life that you think, you know,
growing up, you said it, you know, growing up it was a little bit tough. You know, at that time I actually needed that pill to understand that you need to stop it, because I mean, you walk around as a young boy and then you get to be called names, and growing up in the township is tough because, you know, there used to be that rough names that they used to call you, Stuzana, Stabani. And then when you walk past, at that time, because you are still trying to find yourself, you understand, you're not strong enough to actually stand up for yourself.
And say, I'm proud.
You understand? And you're saying, I'm proud, you know. I think this generation that's growing up right now, I don't know if it's better with them, but back in the days,
No, trust me. I'm from without revealing my age as well. But I'm from those.
Yes.
You know, and that era of calling Awanti Tawane, and that's why I'm asking. So that's what I'm saying.
At that time, I would actually take that pill to say, you know what, let me stop with this. And you know, a lot of gay men at that time, as we were growing up, they used to date multiple partners, girls. You understand? Just to to show the society that, I can date a woman, I can be able to create the perception that I can be able to have.
So instead of being a star, and then you'll be a sex jar.
Exactly.
So also coming back to the name calling situation, I mean, like you said, you hear all sorts of names. Now it becomes confusing. How would you then probably advise people to approach? I mean, you for instance, do we call you Booty? Do we call you Sisi?
I was born Tebogo. I said, call me Tebogo. I'm comfortable. Call me Booty for your kids, or Uncle Tebogo. Do you understand? Because I'm still a man.
Okay.
Do you understand? So I don't want to be called Uzis or something like that. I'm still Uputi. I'm still a man.
Yeah.
The problem is not actually a problem. Do you understand?
It's a problem for those ones who are making it a problem.
Those ones that choose to make it a problem.
But I think that's where pronouns are important.
Exactly.
And a lot of the time we don't have these conversations about pronouns.
Yes.
When we talk about, you'll see people are always in the LGBTI community, call me by my pronoun, don't misgender me.
Yes.
And so it's like pronouns are he, she, they, or them. And this is acknowledging the diversity of gender when it comes to being, either a woman or man. Or even like Castasemania. I mean, Castasemania is intersex. That's the I in the LGBTI. And a lot of the time, people don't understand what that even means. Biologically, she was born
Please explain it to them.
So, with intersex individuals, there is about, let's say, 400 variations of how you can be intersex. It's a biological way of being, right? So this means that when you're born, you can be born, and it refers to your external genitalia, your internal reproductive system, or your hormonal levels, right? And so when I say there are 400 variations of being this way, that means that a child can be born with various parts. Yeah. So for instance, like Castasemania has high levels of testosterone. Hormonally she's higher, right? And they've also, it's been reported that she has internal testes. So she has two biological factors. But I have friends, for instance, that have external, they're born with penises as their sex organs, but then internally they have wombs. And so now what happens with intersex children, right? At the advent of their birth, the doctor looks at them and says, okay, this is, I'm assigning you a female gender, or a male at birth, right? But then they do surgeries on these children.
Yeah.
And this is very dangerous because, as most of us know, we only go through puberty at the ages around 12, 13, 14, right? I mean, I've heard rumors, I think your balls drop. Is it? Or what happens? I don't know. I don't have those. But the voice changes. You start getting, you develop pubic hair, for women it's breast. You start with your menstrual cycle. So now imagine you have operated on a child who was supposed to have a womb. And you're pumping hormones into this child. It creates different problems throughout their child's life. And also psychologically it can be really taxing, right? So in South Africa we're actually trying to fight to change the sexual, the act is Act number 4049. I think the Sexual Description Act, where that deals specifically with intersex children, because what we're calling it now is infant genital mutilation. That's how seriously we're trying to fight this.
That's a serious
But people also, when we talk about an intersex child, biologically, biology doesn't lie. God doesn't make mistakes in that regard, right? And so there's always this question of there should only be male and female, but we've seen the variation of people that are born with so much variations of hormonal differences, internal reproductive organs that are different,
Thank you. Wow. Now, I'm just like going deep into no, it's fucking guys, we're still talking about, is it vulgar to be a gay man in African society? We'll be back with some more after the break. You're still watching Vanishing Cultures with Charmaine, Tebogo, Siphiwe, Tebogo, and Roche. Siphiwe.
Feel the heat.
Do you dream of awesome cartoons filled with funny characters who go on extraordinary adventures?
Everybody ready? Ready!
Hold on, I'm coming.
This is absolute genius.
I'm on my way.
I'm ready.
Titans, go!
Feel the excitement.
Like it? I love it!
Feel the heat with StarSat. Feel the heat. Feel the excitement. Feel the heat with StarSat.
The coronavirus outbreak.
Experience the extraordinary.
Tremendous waste and tremendous fraud. Mexico is, in fact, you will soon find out.
It is a day to celebrate.
We don't approve at all what's going on.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily unusual.
Challenge your ordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality here has had no plan.
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat. Feel the heat.
You said you love me.
I do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Leave mouse man, you go.
Oh no, you don't! Get out of my way! Get out!
That is an abomination.
Oh, the love you promised me.
Do you have a boyfriend? Yeah?
Feel the excitement.
You don't know how I've been longing for this.
Feel the heat.
Welcome back. You are still with Vanishing Cultures. We are enjoying a hot conversation here. So do engage us as well. We really would like to hear from you. Tell us what you think. Tell us what is on your mind. What's burning you up that you have to get out there.
Yeah, we'll definitely sort that out, guys. Want to know this, and this thing that's a really good babu, because this thing is,
I agree.
It's bigger than the time that we have.
Agree.
Guys, thank you so much for coming. Just in closing, what would you like to say to the people at home?
Oh, you start first. Let's have more forums of, so that we can educate people about this, especially get traditional leaders, and religious leaders, so that we can actually intervene and talk. And
I want to say, if you identify as LGBTI at whatever age, be proud of who you are. There's a community for you. There's resources for you. And if you are an ally, an heterosexual ally, educate yourself. Ask the questions. Stand up and stand by for people who are, in the spectrum of the LGBTI community, because we need it. I just want to say one more thing. If also in terms of hate crime reporting, and if you're affected by violences, our offices are in Pretoria. We are 1310 Stanza Popapi Road in Colburn, Pretoria, and we also have a website which is www.out.org.za, and of course you can also give us a call on 012-424-3272. So we're always available. We do testing for HIV as well, and we have counseling services, and then also the legal supporting services for LGBTI people.
Thank you once again, guys.
Thank
It's
you so
been
much.
an
Thank you. It's been
pleasure.
lovely. It's been great. We're going to write that down. Don't worry. They'll see it on their screens. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Guys, we've come to the end of our show. Beautiful topic, which is weird. I'm a chief, so we're bringing that.
So this is a formal invite to the chiefs, traditional leaders out there. Do come through. We would love to have you here.
All right, next week, guys, they've touched us on our studio. They spoke about our hair, our black hair.
Yes. It's on next week.
It's on next week. Next week, make sure you tune in. The Vanishing Cultures. I'm going to finish. It's our hair. We're black. We can't. Please, we'll be talking about that next week. Trust me, you want to be here.
You want to be part of this conversation.
Now, there's this black brother. I'm going to leave you with Freckled Native. Freckled Native killed them, man. I ain't got no more to say. Peace out.
You're my daytime la la land. You're the top, I hope you understand.
We could never go be just friends. If you scope, baby, you are my lens. You're my daytime la la land. You're the top, I hope you understand. We could never go be just friends. If you scope, baby, you are my lens. When you come my way, I lose my head. When you come my way, I lose my head. You're my daytime la la land. You're the top, I hope you understand. We could never go be just friends. If you scope, baby, you are my lens. You're my daytime la la land. You're the top, I hope you understand. We could never go be just friends. If you scope, baby, you are my lens. Baby girl, you're my common sense. You're my home, so I am your fence. When they judge, I'll be your defense. I stand trial for your innocence. Though you stole my heart, rushed in and evoked my love. Feeling like T-Pain cause I'm so damn sprung. I heard the 3 little birds and they all done sung. When you come my way, I lose my head. When you come my way, I lose my head. You're my daytime la la land. You're the top, I hope you understand. We could never go be just friends. If you scope, baby, you are my lens. You're my daytime la la land. You're the top, I hope you understand. We could never go be just friends. If you scope, baby, you are my lens. When you come